Okay, so we are currently underway. This is UCLA versus Stanford. This is Division 1, Week 4. Stanford has a pretty good team, but so does UCLA, who is coming off of a devastating loss last week to a internet disconnection. So they will be trying to get a big win up against Stanford. So this is other Gabe, UCLA's top board against Emily Nguyen, who's the bottom board for Stanford Woman International Master. Is that actually the bottom board? Let me see. Yes, it is. So strong team from Stanford, like I said. This is UCLA's second board, Chess Elephant, against real contender, the third board, National Master from Stanford. They're going through their games pretty quick here. Let's look at Cena 2358, the second board from Stanford, against candidate master Hiron. Hopefully he is on a stronger connection this time, perhaps on an Ethernet. And we're not getting the fourth board just yet. Let me try to get that. K-Shock, thank you for the follow. Welcome. All right. Who is it that I'm not getting? Thunder Panda with 2 R's. Unable to follow. So not seeing Bryce from Stanford, but we will keep an eye out for them. But yeah, let's stick with this game here. National Master, other Gabe versus Woman International Master, Emily Nguyen. Top board versus bottom board from UCLA and Stanford, respectively. So Emily with the white pieces and the bishop pair. Gabe trying to catch up in development, still needs to get out to these queenside pieces. This pawn is hit, so naturally you would think of bringing the knight out. You could also maybe kick the knight out. So Gabe spending some time here thinking about how he wants to continue with this structure. Does he push the pawn? No, he goes rook to e8. Kind of a passive defense. But maybe he doesn't want to bring the knight out just yet, because b4 makes a lot of sense. Expanding on the queen side, getting ready to bring the queen here. Another reason not to push the pawn. You don't really want to open up this diagonal too much, but it might be inevitable. But yeah, pawn pushing, making the knight coming out perhaps undesirable. Perhaps black wants to move the c pawn. Anyways, bishop develops to g4. A slight pin on the knight. This bishop is hanging. But yeah, maybe the knight will rather go to somewhere like d7 to support the center, and you don't want to block the bishop. So the bishop also attacking the knight that is attacking the pawn. So if white continues on adding pressure here, black could always potentially take on f3 if need be. So bishop b2 makes a lot of sense. Bring the knight out to d7. Rook now to e1, defending the bishop, so the knight is no longer pinned. So 3 defenders over the pawn, 3 attackers. And this rook e8 move, at the time, perhaps seemed a little passive, getting off the open d file, but making way for the other rook to join the d file. And white follows suit. So Gabe, slight time advantage thinking here. Still waiting on Stanford's top board. But it appears that we are trying to contact him. Okay. So we're still waiting for that match to start. But anyways, we have the bishop put in question, tucking back, and c6. So c6, an interesting move. Perhaps anticipating a bishop coming here one day. Not entirely sure, but instead we have e4, knight moves, bishop trade. How does white take back, with the knight or the rook? If you go here, intermezzo, white could maybe take here, but you take with check. So I don't know, maybe that was an idea, but definitely I think taking back is best. And they do so with the rook, perhaps doubling. Knight in now. Where to go from here? This pawn is defended. This knight f5 move is always nice to have in white's back pocket. But first, doubling the rooks on the d file. So white's looking pretty good here. Sorry, I'm not doing much commentating. I'm trying to find their fourth player, so it seems that they're trying to find a replacement substitute. Okay, so both players with 30 seconds left. White still has the D file, but they've traded a pair of rooks. It's queen, rook, and knight. Even pawn counts, but white does have a space advantage. White bringing the queen in, looking for a trade, potentially with the passed pawn. Black holding still, bringing the king up. This all comes down to in-game technique and playing under pressure. Both sides trying to bring the king in. Queen up, hitting the knight. So trade of queens, rook takes. King up now. Potentially you could go for this, but I don't know. You have a 3-on-2 majority. So black trying to separate these pawns, trying to weaken, trading down. 12 seconds for UCLA. Ooh, Chess Elephant gets a first point for UCLA. A win against real contender. Less than 10 seconds for Gabe. 15 for Emily. Black working on the king side, bringing the kings in, the pawns in. White reroutes the knight. Rook attacks the pawn. I like this. King steps back. Pawn push. Defending this point. Hard to make progress, but easy to make a mistake. White shuffling the king. Black doing the same, but okay, keeps an eye on f2. Ooh, draw offer from Gabe. Emily declined. Gabe trying to find repetition now, and there it is. All right, Hiron versus Cena. So Stanford's top board is late. But they're subbing in Seth. Let me update this. What happened here? Cena won with a checkmate. Is this Anastasia's mate? Are you talking about this one? Ooh, yeah, that's pretty. Knight here with check, and you have to give the queen there. So, rook here. Attacking this, and yeah, knight, check. Gotta give up the queen. Otherwise, very pretty, mate. Very pretty. Alright, so well done from Chess Elephant to find that. And Cena gets a point. So, Chess Elephant, the board 3s win. Board 1 and board 4 with the draw. So that's actually a big draw from Stanford. Board 4 getting some points out of UCLA's top board. But Seth forfeited the first game. So Stanford not getting a board 1 in time. UCLA getting a point on their board 4. So that is big. Let me make sure I'm following Seth now. Okay. Okay. So we've got Chess Elephant against Emily Nguyen underway. We also have Cena versus K Webb. Seth should be playing. Who should Seth be playing now? He should be playing Hiron. So UCLA up a point after the first round, but now Stanford has a sub in for their first board, so they will be looking to answer back. They also do get a penalty point for last minute substitution, so they're gonna have to win by a score of 9.5 to 6.5, I believe. So they've got their work cut out for them. All right, so Emily with the black pieces now against Daniel from UCLA. Pretty solid position so far. Nothing too crazy. This bishop has a wall of pawns in its way, so eventually going to have to develop somewhere. I'm not sure where, but black would like to get a c5 pawn break in, perhaps rook to c8 opposite the queen. We do have Seth has started his game against Hiron, so that is good to see. We are still waiting on one more board. I believe Gabe versus Real Contender. Okay, so white goes rook to d1 opposite black's king, or queen, excuse me. So the queen steps off, develops, connecting rooks, going to e7. White now only with one piece remaining to develop. Black eventually, rook c8 probably, would be my guess at some point. But white continuing development in the center, looking for a fork, also opening the way for the bishop to come out, perhaps with the pin on the queen. So very strong move. I like this a lot from white. How does black respond? They play e5. Very logical. Putting a halt to white's e-pawn, also playing in the center. So white could either hold, they can push, or they can trade. Three options here with the pawn. Potentially you can come out with the other pawn or the bishop and allow black to take. You'd have knight takes, looking at this square. So white with 250 on the clock. Still thinking. A lot of time spent here. They want to get things right. So bring the bishop out, g5 with the pin. Not simplifying in the center just yet. Maintaining tension. We might see a similar maneuver, bringing both rooks out like this, but probably a rook on the c file makes a lot of sense as well for white. So yeah, rook c8 played by black. Will the queen move? Is this a threat? If you go here, white could just cement a connected passed pawn on the center. Keep things closed though. I think white wants to open things up. This pin is somewhat annoying. The center is strong for white, but black is doing well, defending and also controlling the center. Queen steps off the c file. You don't want potential tactics to ensue, but also controlling this diagonal a little more. White might also bring the other rook in, so black chasing the queen, so to speak, with the rooks. A lot of pieces in the way right now, but it can open up quickly, and that's how tactics occur. So do we see another queen move by white, or do we see a rook move? Do we see some tension be resolved? Daniel thinking here. I mean, he brings the other rook in, but Emily playing moves very fast. She's got over 3 minutes on the board, on the clock, I should say. So she is playing fast, and Daniel is not sure how to respond as fast as this. So he maintains the pin, which makes sense. You don't want to trade off. So keeps the bishop on the board and can perhaps reroute towards this e5 point. Okay, so the queen steps up out of the pin, but the rook is now pinned. So the knight's still pinned, and white pushes through d5. Black takes. This kind of helps out this diagonal a little bit for the bishop, but the queen is hit. The knight is pinned, and yeah, white has a lot of support over this d5 point. So if knight takes, I don't know. There is rook takes, but there's also bishop takes. So now Emily thinking and brings the queen out to f5. So not taking the d pawn. This is a passed pawn now. And there goes another pawn. Hitting the bishop. Bishop sucks back. The c file is opened. White takes. Black takes. So Daniel busting the moves out. Emily answering just as fast. But she is now down a pawn against Daniel. Can Daniel convert with his low time? Okay, Gabe and Real Contender have started their game finally, which is good to see. Okay, so Daniel now to his last 20 seconds. Bring the bishop in, pinning the knight to the rook. Emily, under 40 seconds now. Okay, chess elephant wins by resignation here. I just missed it. I don't know. Pawn here takes, queen's trading. Black here, knight back, hits the queen. I don't know. What, is the knight falling? I guess. Queen can't defend it. Interesting. Okay, so that is a point for chess elephant. Let's look at this. 3 seconds to 30 seconds. Cena versus K-Web. So K-Web, UCLA's 4th board, but their first game today. Okay. Sorry, I'm focusing now. I'm in the game. So Kyle Webb up 2 pawns. Playing rook here, giving up the A pawn, but going for the activity. E2, getting the check. And rook here. King here. Just rook here instead. King here next. Looking for mate. Has to bring the rook back. I would have gone to h3, but it doesn't matter. Check. Pawn check. Rook check. Good technique from Kyle. Bottom board from UCLA, getting the job done. Okay. Kyle Webb now, 2 for 2. Stalyansky losing to Hiron. So Hiron getting his first point. And let's look. This is the last game of the first half. Real Contender versus Gabe. So Hiron, did I give Daniel his point? I don't think I did. So Daniel now at 2 points. So UCLA adding on to the lead, 5.5 to 1.5. So let's see if Real Contender can get a point here. National Master versus National Master. Okay. All right, what's going on here? Gabe versus Real Contender. Real Contender down to his last 37 seconds. Other Gabe with a minute and a half. White bringing in the pressure on the dark squares. You can see the knights both coming in. The bishop cutting off the king, the queen as well, potentially. But this bishop is here to defend, but is tucked away in the corner, so pretty passive. Does white move over to the F file now that has been opened? Look at black's pieces here. Kind of knotted up, these knights here. And the rooks are covered. But other Gabe thinking a lot here. Really putting in the time. Maybe looking for some knight sacrifice. Okay, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. And he goes for it. Yep, blocks with bishop, bringing the knight in now. There is a queen and rook defending laterally is the thing. So, not so easy. The knight definitely does come in now, and it's looking for a big old family fork. Also looking to just take here. So, are we going to see the check? Or are we going to see a capture? Well, you don't want to hang the queen. So we do see knight check. King goes here, only move. If you go here, you get mated. So king over, bishop takes. Oh, queen mate. Oh, that's pretty. That is so good. Yeah, here the king needs to run. This bishop move, yeah, that's real nice. All right. Gabe getting the point. So he improves to 1.5 now after drawing his first game against Emily Nguyen, the board 4 from Stanford. Speaking of which, she is now playing Hiron, Candidate Master from UCLA, the board 3. So this is the beginning of round 3. UCLA is running with it, taking away the score, and they only need 2 wins out of the next 8 games. So they are looking to be in good shape. Definitely a bounce back from their last match against Berkeley, which is Stanford's rival. So Stanford, unfortunately, not able to bring out their best players this week. So they are down in that regards, but they definitely have strong potential. So if they bring a full roster, they're up there for sure. But even without the full roster, it's a very strong team. But UCLA came to play, and they're trying to prove that they have a chance at winning this group. So they just lost 8.5 to 7.5 to Berkeley with a disconnect. So Berkeley, definitely the strongest team in the group on paper, but this UCLA team has something to prove. So both of these teams definitely in playoff contention. All right, so Emily finds herself up a pawn. Hiron losing that D pawn and the C pawn. Brings the knight in, attacks the rook. Rook lift, attacks the knight. So threatening to win 2 pieces for the price of 1. How does Emily decide to continue? She could go here, maybe attacking this. She could also just move the knight back. She could also take the bishop. Ooh, actually, okay, so there's no skewer at the end of that, but the bishop came back. Black would still have this block, but you don't really want to line up your valuable pieces, so that is something to keep in mind. So instead, knight takes pawn. Emily now up 2 pawns. Perhaps, well, rook now controls that as the knight has left. But 2 pawns. 2 pawns are 2 pawns. We have 2 pieces lined up here, but the knight is defended. The bishop is not defended, but not under attack at the moment. If the queen goes too far away, there could be a fork, but the knight is guarding that. Instead, Hiron grabbing the b2 pawn, so getting something back. Rook to b1, attacking the bishop. Bishop's going to come home. This is exactly what we see. So, only down a pawn, Hiron. But Emily, she got a draw out of UCLA's top board. She's looking for more. So attacking the knight, pinning the knight to the rook, also pinning the knight to the queen. It's a very strong move here from white. How does black respond? Look at these bishops taking away the squares. You cannot play rook here. If you go rook here, it's a little iffy. The bishops can continue to harass the rook. And Hiron still has some developing to do. His back rank is an issue. We do see rook e5, defending, getting out of the pen, clearing the way for the bishop. Because if the knight moves and the bishop is still here and the queen is not defended, we could see a potential sacrifice. So rook d4 is played. Rook swings all the way over to the h-file. Trade of bishops now. You could do king takes. You could also do queen here. Ooh, actually, that might be something white has to watch out for. There is a mate threat on h2 and a hanging bishop on c4. So do you go for it now or do you take this? I think you take this. I don't think you want to allow the dark square bishop to stay on the board. And after the queen comes out, you're no longer defending the knight on d5. So Hiron, now under a minute, finally taking on g7. This is a threat. If black could go twice, they would. Go to h4 with the fork of the mate and the bishop. So how does white respond to this? Well, you can defend the bishop, and they do so with a punch against the rook on h5. This knight is still pinned to the queen. So the rook is probably going to have to find a move here. Where to go? You can go back to the e file if you want. You could also stay on the h file if you want. I don't think you want to go to h6. It maintains the option of bringing the queen in with mate, but that rook there is super passive. You do not want to go there. Ooh, he does go there. Okay, so at some point perhaps g5 will be played, but it seems Hiron really is going to double down on this idea. Queen h4. So queen h4 would be great if white makes a mistake, like bishop back to c4, but instead queen with check, kicking the king back to the back rank, perhaps doubling here. No, just attacking this. Probably bishop here, defending and also opening up the rook. Hiron's got to decide fast, though. He's only got 15 seconds. And he does go bishop here, defending. This queen beautifully placed in the center. Control of all the dark squares. Yes, and white just continuing on the pressure. This is very hard to defend now. Okay, attacking the knight. Knight can come here. Just even more fuel to the fire. And that's exactly what Emily does. Queen steps off, looking for checkmate. I don't know if it is checkmate, though, because the king can run. The king can definitely run, so I think white can take this. Yes, and that is exactly what Emily does. She gives up the pawn with the attack for the knight. Take with bishop. Oh, it takes with queen. Okay, so hitting the rook. I liked having the queen on the dark square and the bishop pointing at the king. I like that a lot. But, okay. Here in a fianchetto bishop, so the king is actually relatively safe. There's no h1 check anymore. This rook optimally plays, cutting the king off, but white trying to trade down here. Hiron just no time, unfortunately. Probably bring the rook in. Come on. You can do it, Emily. She's got a lot of time, too, compared to 4 seconds. Hiron now, getting this rook out of that terrible h6 square. Where to go, though? Oh, well, it's just hitting the queen, so that's good. You probably want to stay on this diagonal. Also make room for the other bishop to join in. This should collapse. Rook here, probably. Yep, so queen takes here is a threat, which comes with a mate threat. Also just opening up the g file for the rook to join in at some point. Not immediately, obviously, as you want to maintain that pen. But this also defends, so this is a great move. White trying to simplify down. Rook takes, queen takes, king up. Again, this is a threat. So queen steps back defending. Queen up. Check. Bishop block. Rook over. Going for queen trade. Denying the queen trade. Getting ready to bring the rook in, perhaps. Oh, blunders mate. That has to be mate somewhere. Check here. Oh, trade of queens. Okay, not even going for anything crazy. So, who knows? Hiron had an internet disconnection last week to lose a game. Maybe he can get an internet disconnection to win the game. Optimistic thinking. He's picking up some pawns, and he's holding on to his a pawn. But the a-pawn will fall, unfortunately, as it is on a light square, and the bishop serves to be too powerful. Rook here. Now the a-pawn can run. Ooh, there goes the g-pawn with check. Hiron steps aside. Hiron, you never know. There's always stalemate ideas. You want to keep pushing the pawn. There's a check. King steps back. Who knows? 10 seconds now. Anything's possible. Rook now behind the pawn. You want bishop here at some point. So here comes the pawn trying to give a check. Emily now under 4 seconds. There's a check. King here. Rook back. Rook up. Pawn here. So bishop's going to come here next. And can do so willingly, not even needing protection. Even if black's rook was attacking that, because the rook has to stay trained on the a file. So the king steps up, trying to help out. The rook giving check. Oh, and there's a skewer. There goes the rook. Hiron resigning, no longer going for stalemate. Although, oh man, the king has one move there. The king has one move. If the king was here and he resigned, that could have been a stalemate on the board. That could have been a stalemate. Anyways, ooh, Seth takes down Daniel. So he's getting a point in. Emily Nguyen with a point. So that's 1.5. And now we've got 2 games left. We got Real Contender versus K-Web. Kyle Webb looking to crash through on the H-file. He was up a queen for what? Let's go back and look at this game. What on earth happened? So K-Web not going castling. Giving up some of this stuff. Taking on F2. And he unleashes the attack on the queen with the rook. But for the price of the knight and the rook. So, yeah, he's just piling in now. He's won the exchange. Everything's defending though. Ooh, bishop takes. There's check, king up, trade down, king takes. There's still this pin. King steps aside, so the bishop is hit. So it's a queen versus 2 minor pieces. But he's got 10 seconds. So he's completely winning. White has coordination though. White has coordination. The queen is getting tricky though. She's getting all up in his space. Keep checking. You could take this pawn if you wish. Instead, he's just going after the knight. The queen is hit. He's trying to win this bishop. So the knight is hit. Knight hits the queen. Queen gobbles up a pawn. This pawn is also hanging. He takes that. He's ready for this. Oh, that. Okay, he's trying to trade down. He does. So now it's a queen versus a bishop pair. There's a check. Look at this. Oh, man. There's a check. Well, is that even working? Okay, he just grabs this pawn. He's going to push the other pawns now. So, yeah. Real Contender giving up there. Throws in the towel. So K-Web and other Gabe getting points. So that clinches the match for UCLA. But there's still a 4th round underway. Let's look at other Gabe's game real quick. What ended up happening here? Gabe with the white pieces. Trading down. Oh, and that's just checkmate. Yeah, Cena getting back ranked. A fake flight square on h7 controlled by Gabe's rook. So unfortunate rook lift from Cena. Letting up back rank mate. So that was tough. So now we have the battle of the board 4s. K-Web, who's been doing phenomenally well so far. He did get a forfeit win from the top board of Stanford. But a win is a win. And in his 2 games that he did play, he's undefeated. So let's see how he does against Emily Nguyen. who isn't doing too bad herself. She's actually leading the Stanford team in points. She's got 1.5. So she did get a draw against UCLA's top board, Gabe, which is big. Let's see how she does against Kyle. Here we have the top boards going at it. Seth, the sub for Bryce. So 2 national masters. This will also be an interesting game to watch. We have here Cena and Chess Elephant. I believe these are like the 2 non-titled players. No, Kyle Webb is also not titled, but he's been playing well. He's been taking down some of Stanford's stronger players. So if he wins this, he can improve and get the sweep, go 4-0 as a board 4, which is very impressive. But it seems that he has gambited a pawn here. He's won it back, so Black could have potentially have taken, but they did not choose to do so. This knight, crucial defender over c7, both bishop and knight converging there. So after this pawn capture, could we have seen, what if like, okay, the knight is also hitting the bishop. So the knight not so easily removed. And now the queen is hit with development tempo from the knight developing to c6. The queen has a job to defend the bishop. So yeah, kind of an awkward situation, actually, because not a lot of places you can go. I think you can go to d2 pretty safely to defend the bishop. You could also consider e4, but then your queen's a little susceptible to getting hit again, perhaps an f5 pawn break. Also, just the knight coming back would hit the queen as well. So I'm anticipating queen d2. It seems like the safest place to defend the bishop. There's also ways over here. If you go here, lining up this way, and that's exactly what he does, Black could try to answer back with bishop d7. I think makes a lot of sense, pointing at that queen. So Emily taking her time here. She goes a6. It's kind of an empty threat because your rook is hanging. So bishop d7 would also be a good move now because it's especially defending that rook. And Kyle understands this entirely. He does not address this at all. He's probably laughing at it. No, just kidding. He castles long, which is great, because he lines up his rook against Black's king or queen, and is potentially threatening a move like c4, attacking this knight. After queen takes a, knight takes f4. So let's see if we go under this line. Does Black take, queen take? Knight takes is not a threat anymore because the queen is now under threat from the rook. So this seems to be a move. Bishop d7 finally hits. So now the rook is defended. The knight is hit. I've not heard of Tower Grove South, so I cannot answer. But I will say I will continue streaming after this match because there's another match after this. We have University of Central Florida, who is playing against, I believe, Northeastern. So keep an eye out for that. I actually still have to make the scoreboard. So maybe I'll do that right now. Yeah, we should watch U Chicago at some point. I'm unfortunately busy after today. Um, okay, knight takes. Wait, knight into d6. Now bishop takes. This is blocking black from castling. Queen up, x-raying the bishop a little here. It was x-raying the bishop before, but you had no good bishop moves other than underdeveloping, which you don't want to do. So just developing a queen is good also. And the knight could potentially move with a threat. I'm not sure where, but yeah. But U Chicago C has a player missing, I believe, so that would not be good to stream. I looked at that. I wanted to stream Temple's game actually. But okay, queen here lining up with the diagonal. So this is very powerful. This is very good for white with this infiltrative dark square bishop. And yeah, one of these knights is going to have to try to do something about this situation. So you could try to get a knight to c8. You could also try to go rook here. Yeah, so we'll try to get U Chicago maybe one of their top boards or top teams, like their A team. Yeah, I mean if Andrew Tang could stream their match with U Chicago, that would be amazing. Should I ask him? Has anyone reached out to him? Maybe if someone is friends with him. Oh, he just started streaming. Ooh, okay. That's exciting. That would be great cuz then I mean, yeah, obviously it'd be great. I encourage all Collegiate Chess League players to stream their matches, but especially if they're already streamers, that helps a lot. But yeah, I think after this, I definitely want to cover University of Central Florida, and then an hour after. Wait, is that one might be Sunday? Yeah, I will. I'll have a couple streams tomorrow, as well. Like Mizzou is playing 8 a.m. Pacific time. USC's B team is playing uh, Cal Poly Slow at noon Pacific. Okay, anyways, I should focus here. So both sides with about a minute. White bringing the knight in for trade. Both sides castled queenside. The knight denies the trade, steps back. Yeah, Yale C versus MIT C could also be a good match. Although Kimstud, are you streaming that? Far Eastern, hello. Dude, if Tang streams the bishop sacrifice, Kyle Webb pulling the trigger, going with queen check. There's queen block. What's the follow up? Oh, queen trade. Wow. Okay, so saying I'm gonna play on. You could see another sacrifice, and then bishop takes. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's going for. So he's getting the full 3 pawns for the piece, taking advantage of the bishop on e8. So now the rook is hanging. If knight takes, rook takes. So rook moves. This is now a threat. Hey, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome. this is the Collegiate Chess League. This is UCLA versus Stanford. UCLA has already clinched the match. This is the last round, round 4. So now they're just playing for the points, which will be used for tie breaks, determining playoff standings. So okay. I'm going to try to start making the scoreboard. Oh, you guys are missing it. Sorry. I probably should have done this earlier, but oh well. University of Central Florida and Northeastern. Okay. Real Contender beat Hiron. So he does get a point at the end of the day. Let's see, both sides under 10 seconds. Oh my god, it's a rook versus 5 pawns. It was a piece for 3, and then he must have sacked his rook for 2. Wait, for an exchange plus 2 pawns. So, I mean, what is this, a draw? I don't know. This is just crazy. But yeah, the king's gonna try to come in, and you're gonna try to push the pawns, but it just seems very difficult. Okay, Seth beat Gabe. So Seth filling in for Bryce, winning 2 of his 3 games. Did your raid go through? Yes, I shouted you out. Thank you very much. So now the king's coming in. Black could consider sacrificing. I mean, look at the bishop is just locking everything down. It's hard to move. So yeah, we could see a sacrifice. But no. Ooh, bishop here. Big threat. Would lock down. I mean, luckily the bishop is still here. So, okay, Daniel gets a point out of Cena. So, Daniel, 3 for 4. Rook check. Bishop check. Rook check again. No. Yeah, black not willing to give up the exchange. Maybe afraid of all the pawns. So there's a check. King up. There's another check. And they draw by repetition. So very interesting game. I'm sure things were missed. But Emily improves now to 2. K Webb 3.5 out of 4. Very good job. So final score 10-6. Stanford will have a penalty point for a substitute player at last minute. But yeah, good job from this UCLA team now.